Hello, yogis, and welcome to your yin yoga practice. Let's start by grabbing a couple of blocks and maybe a bolster. You might have a little bolster, or if you have a longer one that you can lie over, that's great. Otherwise, maybe a towel or a blanket that you can fold up and use as a little simple bolster. So let's start with an easy meditation, sitting in a comfortable cross legged pose, perhaps on your bolster, closing down your eyes, hands on your knees, or perhaps your hands are facing upwards. And we'll start with a brief meditation. Coming to your breath and understanding that whether we are aware of it or not, the physical body is often a storage place for our stress. Where we hold our stress varies from one person to the next, but by mindfully engaging the power of the breath, we can start to relieve some of the tightness and tension that we experience through our day. Of course, if you have any cause for concern, medical or professional care is necessary, and this meditation and practice is not a replacement for that. But when the tension that we feel is due to these conscious or unconscious patterns of stress, we can sometimes, through compassionate attention, soften these feelings over time. Consider using this practice to mindfully begin breathing into and softening your stress points. Keeping your eyes closed, begin to take a few slow and steady breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, grounding yourself gently. You might change the cross of your ankles if you feel the need. And notice if there are any areas within your body that feel tense or tight. Hold these areas in your awareness for just a few more breaths. And then slowly breathing into these areas, focus your attention on one particular part that yearns for release or support. Lengthen the next inhalation and breathing in, imagine a radiant white light entering your body through your nostrils and moving towards the place that calls for your attention. Holding this light on your attention for a brief second and exhaling, envision some of that tension releasing. Repeat this exercise throughout your practice today. And let's take a few shoulder shrugs, maybe leaning over to the left side and then to the right, just loosening up through the spine and side body, gently twisting with your left hand on the right knee, and then taking it to the other side as you feel ready, lengthening up through the spine and the top of the head. Taking a few more deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then let's start with our practice today. Grabbing your block and setting up for an easy supportive bridge pose. Set your block under your sacrum and feel that support. Feet are flat on the ground and your shoulders are relaxed, eyes comfortably closed. Yin practice is a practice of releasing and deepening. It's not always comfortable, but it should not be painful. So if this feels painful, lower your block. Maybe just place your blanket or bolster under your hips. If you feel like you need a little bit more, lengthen out through your legs. You should feel a stretch or even perhaps what you would describe as a mild ache, but it should not hurt. You should not feel any numbness or tingling. Let's take a few minutes in this pose, thinking about that bright, warm light that you're bringing to any areas of tension, breathing in and exhaling out. As you feel ready, removing the block and coming back to your back, bringing your feet in for a happy baby if that feels comfortable, or you can just bend the knees to your chest, just rocking out any tension you might have developed in your back. You might even straighten one leg and then the other if you've taken the happy baby, and just allow your back to relax. As you're ready, let's come up and set up for our fish pose. So with fish pose, we want to find an extension of the back, but again, no pain. So if the blocks are going to be too much for you, if that's too much of a lift, then think about using your bolster instead. So you want your blocks set up, one underneath the shoulders and the other behind your head. You might even start with the bolster or rolled blanket and then move into the pose as you feel your back is ready. You may also feel this as a stretch across the chest. Let your arms hang loose out to the side and just let your body release, experiencing the opening of this pose. Again, if at any time you feel pain or numbness, come down and take an easy lying posture or the rolled up towel under your shoulders. Slowly bring your awareness back to your body and roll up, removing the blocks or the bolster if they are there, and lying back on your back, bringing the knees into your chest and feeling that release across the back and spine and shoulders. We'll come back up to a seated pose and let's prepare for caterpillar. So caterpillar is another way of calling this forward fold, seated forward fold, but we want to have support so that we're able to deepen into the pose without effort. So stack your blocks as you need. And as you go through this process of this pose and your body releases, you may find that you can lower the settings on your block or perhaps remove one of your blocks. Feel the lengthening and opening through the lower back and the hamstrings. And give yourself time, knowing that as you release into the pose, you will find deeper levels of release. Thinking again of the slow, deep breaths in and the slow exhaling out. Breathing in that warm, radiating light into any parts of your body that need it. Come back up and shake out your legs, working out any wiggles that need to be wiggled out. And then let's come on to the belly into a Sphinx pose. Your arms are bent with the forearms parallel. You may want to take a bolster If you need some extra support for your chest, or perhaps a block for your forehead, you can work through levels of this pose to find what works for you, stopping where you feel the need. If you're in the full Sphinx pose, have your shoulders stacked over your elbows. Feel the hips opening, the chest opening. The head is relaxed, no straining. You may feel a little tightening or aching in the lower back, but it should not be painful. Sometimes we call this compression. If you want to go deeper, press your arms forward and straight into a seal pose with your hands out to the side. This may be too much for the low back, so see this as an option, but it's not the goal. Yin is a practice of finding your edge and being comfortable with it. You can come back to Sphinx at any time if you have chosen to take seal. And now let's set up for a half frog pose. So we have the left leg out to the side, using a block or a blanket under the knee or ankle for support, or perhaps no support at all. You may find that a blanket is going to be the most comfortable, and so in this case, have it folded to a level that feels right for you. Keeping your arms in the Sphinx pose and just opening up through that left hip, feeling the deepening of the posture. If you want to go all the way down to half frog, keeping your eyes closed, forehead to your hands, or again, lifting up into Sphinx, whatever version of this pose is calling to you today. Slowly bring your awareness back to your body. Let's shake our hips from side to side. Windshield wiper your legs by bending your knees and just sliding them from one side to the other, sliding your lower legs, and come up to take the other side. I'm going to turn around just so you can see me. Take the same version on the right side that you did on the left, if that feels right to you. Understanding that nobody's body is completely symmetric, and this is going to feel different for each person on each side. Again, having your arms in Sphinx pose, if that's working for you, or you could come all the way down to your forehead, using your hands or a block as a pillow. Pose, and again, windshield wiper your legs, bending the knees and letting the lower legs sway from one side to the other. Move your props out of the way, although you might want to keep the folded blanket and come into a child's pose. Knees wide, arms reaching forward, or perhaps along the side of your body, if that's more comfortable. Remembering the breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Feeling that sensation of warm light into any areas of the body that are carrying your stress or strain. Let's come back up to a seated pose, maybe shrugging your shoulders. Setting up for your puppy dog pose. With this pose, you may find the block to be a comfort for you, with your head resting on the block, either forehead or chin. Arms are stretched forward, hips are over the knees, and your chest is bent down. If you want to go deeper, put your upper arms on the block, hands in prayer posture behind your neck. This may be a little intense, so this may not be where you are ready to go today, but if it is, you'll feel a beautiful deep stretch across the shoulders. In any variation, you're going to feel an opening in the shoulders and back, where so many of us store our tension and strain. Have compassion for yourself. Yin is not an easy practice. Even though it is a slow practice. Let's shrug our shoulders coming up, turning around and coming into our downward facing dog just for a few breaths. Getting a few wiggles out, bending the left knee and then the right. And then come forward with the right knee to the right wrist, setting up for your pigeon pose. This is a good spot to grab your bolster or a block. Coming to your edge. In order to keep the pelvis even, you may want to put a block under the left hip, or if you feel that the pelvis is square, you may not need props, and just fold forward into whatever depth of the pose is calling to you. Having a blanket under the extended leg will allow your pelvis to drop down rather than holding tension, and you may feel more opening there. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and just letting your body give in, feeling the stretch along the psoas muscle, on the extended leg, the glute on the right. Having compassion for yourself. Perhaps removing props as you go deeper into the pose. But again, take this at your own pace, at your own level. feeling compassion and gratitude for yourself for taking this time and effort to go deeper. Slowly come back up and let's stretch back into downward facing dog, bending one knee, then the other, and coming forward with the opposite leg. Left knee to left wrist, using any props that you might need, understanding that each side of your body may feel a little bit different. Finding your edge, perhaps using your bolster to support you. And as you feel this support, you may begin to feel a release across the back and hips, and perhaps that will allow you to remove the bolster and fold a little bit deeper. Slowly bring your awareness back to your breath, stepping back into downward facing dog and pedaling out again through the feet. Come to a seated pose, windshield wiper your legs from side to side, releasing the hips, feeling the movement in your hip sockets, and then setting up for deer with the left knee bent forward in a 90-degree angle. Right leg is behind you, knee is bent, but you don't need to find the 90-degree angle here. Open up through the chest, arms behind you. Finding a comfortable position here where you're getting some sense of pressure but not pain. If this is too much for your knees, just come to a seated pose. Otherwise, opening up, allowing the hips to release, and continuing the slow, deep breaths. Windshield wipering your legs again, and allowing the knees to drop over to the other side, finding a position that is achievable for you without pain. Arms behind, chest is open. Remembering to bring that sensation of warm, healing light to any areas of your body that need it. Slowly bring the awareness back, taking a few more breaths in and out. Windshield wiper once again through your knees. And from here, we're going to set up for our banana asana or banana pose. So stretch out through the arms and the legs. Arms and legs scooch out towards the right side. So you're creating a banana shape. With the right arm, grab the left wrist and maybe put the left ankle over the right foot to get a little bit more stretch if that's comfortable. Go to your extent of the pose, but you should feel a good deep stretch across the side body, opening up through the ribs and hips and along the side of your thighs. If this is too much on the shoulders, release until you find an area that's comfortable for you. Slowly bringing your awareness back, bending through the knees, bringing the knees into the chest, and rock from side to side. And we'll take it to the other side. Banana asana to the left. So scooch the hips over to the right. Arms are reaching to the left arm grabbing the right wrist. The left foot is underneath the right foot. So you put a little pressure on the left ankle to hold the stretch if that's comfortable for you. Remember that each side of the body is different. Feel that gentle opening and stretch. And remember to keep breathing slowly, mindfully, breathing that deep healing sensation into any parts of the body that need it. Slowly finding a little bit of movement as you take your knees up and into your chest again, rocking from side to side. And we'll set up for our supine twist. Bring the left knee into your chest. You can straighten the right leg or keep both knees bent. You may want to use your bolster or your block under the top knee, and that gives you a landing point. It takes some of the muscular effort off and allows the release through the deeper tissues. With yin, we're not trying to power ourselves into the pose. We're releasing into the pose. So allow that to happen here as best as you can, keeping the shoulders flat to the mat. Slowly bring your awareness back to center and bring your knees into your chest, rocking from side to side. Scoot over to the other side and bring the right knee into your chest. Rolling over to the left, taking whatever blocks or props you need to support you so that you're able to deeply release into this pose. Remembering that you can keep both knees bent if you need to. Try to keep the shoulders to the mat as best you can. And remember your slow, deep, and mindful breathing. As you're ready, bring the knees back into your chest, rocking from side to side, and then lengthening out into your Shavasana pose. If you need, you may find a rolled up towel or blanket under your knees as a comfortable way to relax into this pose. Perhaps putting a blanket or towel over your body, or an eye mask over your eyes. And take this time in Shavasana for as long as you need. If you need more time in Shavasana, go ahead and pause this video. If you're ready to move on with your day, slowly start to bring awareness to your fingers and toes. Maybe giving your fingers and toes a little wiggle, curling your hands, flexing your feet, taking circles through your wrists and ankles, and then stretching out through the arms and legs with a good morning stretch. Knees come back into the chest. Maybe bring your forehead to the knees and roll over to your side of choice, using your bicep as a pillow as you push yourself up back into a simple seated pose. We began this practice with an awareness of breathing into tension. Keep this thought with you and this feeling with you as you go through your day and your week. Know that you can return to this whenever you need to. Thank you so much, dear yogis, for spending this time with me, and I hope to see you again.